You ever think about quitting?
It's the combat of life hammering the snot out of you.
Well, stand by, dig in deep, and get ready to get fired up with us.
Welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, the #1 podcast that inspires you to fight on. I'm your host, David Rutherford, here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell.
Our mission is to help you embrace the suck of life, to teach you the values of working your ass off, and to interview the most hard-charging people on planet Earth.
We know life is hard. It's time for you to suck it up, Buttercup, and let us teach you to persevere in every environment imaginable by sharing real-world lessons learned by those who never quit. That's right. It's time, Marcus, for us to help them defeat the negative insurgency in their lives.
You fire me up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. Marcus, one of the coolest things about today's show is it's one of our own brothers coming on. And when I get that opportunity, that obviously, as you know, gets me super fired up.
Well, we're actually we talked about this the other day. We're not full brothers, right? And
yeah, all right, I see where you're going. They do wear weird uniforms and have berets.
No, I'm talking about because we're 18 Delta, so that makes us
We're stepchildren.
Right, bastards. We're bastards in the Green Beret
program. We're the bastard children of the Green Beret, of the Delta series.
The Delta series, right?
Yeah. We're like,
so we actually can say that because we have integrated into the program just enough to be bastards. Stepchildren. That's what we call ourselves all the time. Oh, man, so I just stuck in there.
Well, I love it. I think
bleep that out.
I think one of the great checkoffs is anytime you have to do hard time in Vietnam. That gives you... you know, with all the pawn shops and the strip malls. I mean, that gives you. I mean, that's a. Hey, you ought to get like I served in Vietnam.
Right, an arm patch. All right. Yeah, well, when they get triple tabbed up, we come out of there. We can wear it under our lapel.
A Fayetteville, a ribbon. I survived Fayetteville. Awesome. Well, we got him coming on. I mean, Tim is one of the coolest dudes, and I don't know if you've ever met Tim before. You ever spent any time with him?
No.
You guys didn't cross paths on Range 15?
No, man, he was there before me. He was filming the day before me, so I hadn't. So this is, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is going to be good stuff, man. He's everything that I know about him and what Nick says, man, the guy is just off the charts. And what I also love is his energy, man. His energy is full tilt, dude.
Yeah. Gotta be. If you leave the Green Berets, go be a fighter. Hell, I didn't even leave the Green Berets. He's still a Green Beret.
And he's still fighting.
He's one of them overmotivated guys.
He is overmotivated.
He don't want to walk outside because he's like the happy guy. He's standing, he's waiting on us. He's outside. He's going to be fired up.
Absolutely. And so I felt like one of the only appropriate ways to get this show kicked off, right, from as we like to do by sharing kick-ass, never quit stories is and this guy is the epitome of Green Beret in my mind. I mean, he is absolutely over the top, one of the baddest dudes who's ever lived, not only in soft, but in particular special forces. And I thought we would just read the citation from him, just to get things going, to put things in perspective of what it means to be operating at the highest possible level.
We should start calling Green Berets Benavides. You know what I mean?
They're no longer special forces. You're just a Benvenides.
Yeah, exactly.
You are
That's the name of them now. Like Shield Benvenides.
Yeah. Hey, dude, have you ever worked with the Benavides ODA team? Detachment Alpha. Yeah, and they'll be like, oh yeah.
Man, awesome. I heard about this Joker. It's like parts of his story make it out.
Parts.
And, you know what I'm talking about? I've heard different parts of the story at different times. Like, man, that single piece is nuts, right? You're just like, that's crazy. That's the craziest thing I ever heard. Yeah, you got the Medal of Honor for that. And like, well, no, it was a little bit more than that. And then
there's a little bit more of that. And then there's a little bit more. I mean, the story is remarkable. So let's just jump in it. I'm going to read his Medal of Honor citation and we'll go for there. All right, here we go. Master Sergeant Roy P. Benavides, United States Army, distinguished himself by a series of daring and extremely valorous actions on 2 May 1968, while assigned to Detachment Bravo 56, 5th Special Forces Group Airborne, 1st Special Forces, Republic of Vietnam. On the morning of 2 May 1968, a 12-man Special Forces reconnaissance team was inserted by helicopters of the 240th Assault Helicopter Company in a dense jungle area west of Loc Ninh, Vietnam, to gather intelligence information about confirmed large-scale enemy activity. This area was controlled and routinely patrolled by the North Vietnamese Army. After a short period of time on the ground, the team met heavy enemy resistance and requested emergency extraction. 3 helicopters attempted extraction, but were unable to land due to intense enemy small arms and anti-aircraft fire. Sergeant Benavidez was at the forward operating base in Loc Ninh, monitoring the operation by radio when these helicopters of the 240 returned to offload wounded crew members and to assess aircraft damage. Sergeant Benavidez voluntarily boarded a returning aircraft to assist in another extraction attempt. Realizing that all the team members were either dead or wounded and unable to move to the pickup zone, he directed the aircraft to a nearby clearing where he jumped from the hovering helicopter and ran approximately 75 meters under withering small arms fire to cripple the team. It's funny, they say withering small arms fire, but that must have been a hellacious mountain of gunfire at him.
What does that even mean?
Withering. I mean, is it like crippling? Is it, I mean, that's got to...
Withering as in horrible to...
Yeah,
because it doesn't stop being horrible till the gunfire stops, right?
It never...
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You'd always wonder who writes these things, right? All right. Prior to reaching the team's position, he was wounded in his right leg, face, and head. Despite these painful injuries, he took charge, repositioning the team members and directing their fire to facilitate the landing of an extraction aircraft and the loading of wounded and dead team members. He then threw smoke canisters to direct the aircraft to the team's position. Despite his severe wounds and under intense enemy fire, he carried and dragged half of the wounded team members to the awaiting aircraft. He then provided protective fire by running alongside the aircraft as it moved to pick up the remaining team members. As the enemy, I just take a step back and go, he was doing fire and maneuver with a helicopter.
Oh, well, he was really saying, yo, I'm down here, I need my ride. But they were leaving him, and he was hauling ass trying to catch up with them.
I get it. I imagine
That's
him,
how badass he was.
I imagine him going like, here, get behind me.
Right.
Follow
No
me.
Hey.
This is an aircraft with like a minigun, a 60, and he's
Right.
like, get behind me.
You
Get
two,
behind me.
Helicopter, I'm talking to you. Get behind me.
Let's go.
God.
He then provided protective fire running alongside the aircraft as it moved to pick up the remaining team members. As the enemy's fire intensified, he hurried to recover the body and classified documents on the dead team leader. When he reached the leader's body, Sergeant Benavidez was severely wounded by small arms fire in the abdomen and grenade fragments in his back. At nearly the same moment, the aircraft pilot was mortally wounded and his helicopter crashed. Although in extremely critical condition due to his multiple wounds, Sergeant Benavidez secured the classified documents and made his way back to the wreckage, where he aided the wounded out of the overturned aircraft, gathered the stunned survivors into a defensive perimeter. Under increasing enemy automatic weapons and grenade fire, he moved around the perimeter, distributing water and ammunition to his weary men, reinstilling them a will to live and fight. Facing a buildup of enemy opposition with a beleaguered team, Sergeant Benavidez mustered his strength, began calling in tactical airstrikes, and directed the fire from supporting gunships to suppress the enemy's fire and so permit another extraction attempt. This is remarkable. He was wounded again in his thigh by small arms fire while administering first aid to a wounded team member just before another extraction helicopter was to land. And his indomitable spirit kept him going as he began to ferry his comrades to the craft. On his second trip with the wounded, he was clubbed from behind by an enemy soldier. In the ensuing hand-to-hand combat, he sustained additional wounds to his head and arms before killing his adversary. I'm like
a little hand-to-hand.
Yeah,
you know,
in the midst of all the other madness, how about a little hand-to-hand to throw that in? He then continued under devastating fire to carry the wounded to the helicopter. Upon reaching the aircraft, he spotted and killed 2 enemy soldiers who were rushing the craft from an angle that prevented the aircraft door gunner from firing upon them. With little strength remainder, he made one last trip to the perimeter to ensure that all the classified material had been collected or destroyed, and to bring the remaining wounded. Only then, in extremely serious condition from numerous wounds and loss of blood, did he allow himself to be pulled into the extraction aircraft. Sergeant Benavidez' gallant choice to join his voluntarily his comrades who were in critical straits to expose himself constantly to withering enemy fire, and his refusal to be stopped despite numerous severe wounds saved the lives of at least 8 men. His fearless personal leadership, tenacious devotion to duty, and extremely valorous actions in the face of overwhelming odds were in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflect the utmost credit upon him in the United States Army. I mean, when you hear that, brother, holy.
All that for some classified information.
I mean, think
Pretty
about
crazy.
that.
He probably didn't even know what was on it.
Didn't. He
Didn't
just
matter,
knew
really.
the team leader
It's classified.
It's classified.
Is that important?
And he had to get
He
that.
had to go through that shit to get it. On top of everything else. I mean, saving his buddies. And
Helicopter crash, a little hand-to-hand.
Yeah. Whatever was written on that paper was just as important as everything else. That's how important classified stuff is to us, right?
Amen. We know that it is.
Good on you, brother.
Good on him.
Buddy, yeah.
I just wanted to tell this epic story of just an amazing American, one of the greatest Green Berets to have ever lived. And I wanted to share a story because I want the next generation to hear this and to keep imagining it, to go out there, to find his story, to watch the videos of him. There's a great one that he gives either a commencement speech. There's this great speech of his. Go find that, search that, and be inspired to get that never quit spirit going in you. So let's bring another guy on that has the never quit spirit. Let's bring a guy on that's really pushing himself to live up to the standard that Benavidez established for the Green Berets, that established for all of us. Let's bring on Mr. Tim Kennedy. What do you say, Marcus?
Let's do it.
Fighting soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and die. I know you want me to keep singing that, don't you, Marcus?
Hey, didn't I tell you about the story? The guy wanted to sing to me at the dinner the other day, right?
You did.
That was a
whole
difficult,
different side. I mean, I don't know what you're saying about Green Berets in that statement, but what I do know is that I love my brothers, and I've always loved my brothers from the time I spent at 18 Delta on Fort Bragg. So it is incredible. I'm super stoked to bring on to the Team Never Quit podcast, Mr. Tim Kennedy. What's up, brother?
Hello, gentlemen. I use the term loosely.
You have to. I mean, it wouldn't be otherwise. So, one of the things as we were talking about, as we prepare for guests, we've had Lara Logan come on, or, Governor Perry. We sit down and we're like, all right, what do we need to say and all this? So I go to him, I go, all right, we got to prepare for Tim. And he looks at me, he goes, why? He goes, he's one of us. He's a twisted son of a bitch just like us. We're good.
He's going to say a bunch of stupid stuff that he'll probably regret later, and then that's it.
And that's the show.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
People take stuff from that. That's why we have a podcast.
Amen, they do.
I mean, the good part about it, bro, is you're wired like we are. So you know how this is going to go, man. Once we get into it, it'll roll. So
all right.
It's fun.
So
and thanks again for doing it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tim. I know you're busy, man. Especially making Facebook videos with your shirt off, doing strong hand one-handed shoots, bud.
Yeah, why would you wear a shirt when you look like this?
I don't know, man. I don't look like that anymore, so
I probably wouldn't.
That's why I don't do those one-handed shirtless shirts, because people would be like, "Hey, Rut, nice gut, bud."
Like if I had right? What? If you had a Dirk Diggler, would you wear tight pants? Right?
I wouldn't wear pants.
There you go.
And that is noted. And that is noted.
That's what I would say.
Obviously, I wear pants, so it's apparent that I'm no Dirk Diggler.
All right. So, Tim, the way we loosen up, the way we stretch out our gray matter up top is we going to give you a Mad Minute. Now, I know you're familiar with a traditional Mad Minute. This is a little bit less important than any one of those questions would be. So we're going to fire just random questions at you. First thing that pops into your head, just let it rip. Roger?
Okay.
All right, here we go.
I'm ready.
Go ahead, Marcus.
First car.
First car, it's complicated. I'm embarrassed to tell you the story, but my first car was a 1954 Henry J that my dad built and handed me the keys when I turned 16. It's something as a tradition that he did with my brother and I. He handed him a 69 Le Mans. I sold the car a few days later to buy a Geostorm.
That's thinking. That's heavy thinking.
Now, what did that crush your dad's dreams right there, or what did that do to him?
No, man, he knew at that moment. He's like, that stupid, retarded little kid. Me, I got him now because I was like, hey, Dad, can I sell this car? He's like, son, it's your car. You do exactly whatever you want with it. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to buy a Geostorm. I'm going to put a glass pack muffler on it. I'm going to put a subwoofer on it. Maybe some neon lights, so I'm cool in California with all the other cool kids. He's like, it's your car, son. You do whatever you want. And he knew, that guy, he knew from that moment on, I would regret that decision to the day I die, which I still do. And he still, he doesn't gloat. But he knows he got me right then and there.
He will always control you. Yeah. Have you thought about going chasing down the jackass who bought it from you? Have you gone after him?
Yeah, he still has it in Atascadero, California. And we went and had a heart-to-heart, and I threw an obscene amount of money at him, and he just smiled. I think he maybe even talked to my father.
Absolutely.
They're in cahoots on the whole thing. Yeah.
You should have looked at him like, I'm a businessman.
And I mean business.
I'm a businessman.
All right, next question. All right, Beatles, Rolling Stones, or Led Zeppelin? That's a long pause right there.
Yeah.
Heavy.
I mean, none of them are like quintessentially American.
Good point. All right, let me refresh it. Here we go. Ready? You ready?
Yeah.
The Eagles.
Just give me an American band. Don't come at me with three Brits.
All right, here you go.
We
Ready?
already rolled that in 1776. So if we need to revisit it on the music era, I will, but I don't think we need to.
All right, check. Here you go. That's a fair statement. All right, here we go. Nirvana, Social Distortion, or the Eagles?
Am I on drugs or?
That's a personal question.
Yes, we are. Yeah, it's a combination. We're LSD and Jack Daniels Black Label. Go.
Nirvana for sure. Just keep the razor blades, lukewarm bathtub, and aspirin far away from me when I listen to it.
All right, movie character you play out in real life.
Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast at Tiffany's.
She did good in that.
She was hot. She was hot.
Really go back to that scene where she's in the alley and she's looking for the cat and she's confused and
Perfect.
the water's kind of messing up her hair, like my hair, and it's like, and I'm a dancer and I'm skinny and and I'm like, I have all these mixed emotions and I'm New York because it's my favorite city in the world, and then I finally find the alley cat and I'm okay. I can live.
That's hot. That got me hot right there. Just watching
a lot of people.
Obviously,
yeah.
That'll affect a lot of people too.
That does affect. It affected me. All right. Here you go. All right. If you had to get in a fight with one, who would it be? Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger? And this is not like now as old men and you want to just kick some ass. This is like Rambo and the Commando.
Yeah, but you didn't say that though.
I changed it for him. I changed it.
Oh, okay, check.
Yeah, I touch one of them in the hip these days, or maybe talk to their testosterone doctor and limit how much they get, and the fight's over. So,
so which one?
Going to the peak prime days.
I'm
gonna go with an Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. He was a massive.
If you Google like bodybuilder versus Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy, there's a whole bunch of videos of high-level grapplers fighting these.
I watch all the time.
Massive. Yeah, they're so much fun. I just can't get enough of it. So I just want an opportunity to make one of those videos, and it would be classic to do it with like Mr. Universe, in his prime, seven-time
Mr. Universe. I love it.
All right, are you a John Wick or a Jason Bourne guy?
Absolutely 100% a John Wick guy for two reasons. First and foremost, Jason Bourne. He is not the Jason Bourne character. the guy's a super anti-gun guy. And so he goes and makes the Jason Bourne movies, and he's shooting like 20, 30, 40, 50 people a movie.
God damn
and
it.
then as soon as it airs,
What? Stop.
I know. You know it's true.
You're breaking my heart. I know it is. I try not to pay attention to it, man, because it ruins the movies. But you know what I found out? I was back in the day. Somebody told me about, hey, watch the actors when they're shooting guns, and when guys who are afraid of guns blink a lot. You don't notice that until you get trained on it, and then when you go back and watch the movie, it's just devastating.
All your superhero buddies in the back, and they're freaking. I mean, they're scared as shit.
I had 3 friends that were in the John Wick movie, and they did a great job. And then obviously, Keanu Reeves, I know him from some motorsport stuff, and he is one hell of a competitive shooter these days.
Well, what was that recent Facebook thing that went viral with him at 50 running those plates like he was some 25-year-old, brand new guy out of buds? It was crazy.
But,
evidently that was a scene from John Wick that they were rehearsing, but they were doing it with live ammo. So they recreated one of his shoot scenes on the range, and so he's like, no, if I'm going to be able to do it in the movie, I want to be able to do it in real time with real ammo, with real guns. And so, dude, he looked good.
Yeah, he seems like he's squared away just as a dude in general, When
he's tearing through that bar during John Wick, man, do you notice he pulls out that other pistol, man? He goes to his offhand.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't, I didn't notice it the first 25 times I won.
Just the premise of that movie, like, yeah, I'm having a bad week, my wife died and things aren't great, but really it just comes down to, you messed with my dog and I'm going to kill everyone. I know what I'm talking about.
That's happening.
Totally.
I have a Mustang like that, dude. I'm like, man, dude, exactly.
They took his car, they killed his dog, everyone dies. Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's the best modern shoot 'em up film there is by far. It's the instant cult classic.
I'm glad too, man. I like. Yeah.
All right. Last question in a Mad Minute. That's 10 minutes long. What is your power animal, Tim?
My power animal. It's a male ferret that's locked in a cage with a female ferret that's in heat, and the male ferret just snorted a kilo of cocaine.
Are they young ferrets? Because the old ones get blind. They get blind
because of the cocaine, or just because they're old.
A ferret in his prime.
Oh, prime ferret.
An absolute
that's all,
ready to go ferret.
That's all over the place, ready to go at all times. We were talking about this the other day. Can you imagine? Because when dogs go in heat, man, or when animals go in heat, they claw down walls to get in there.
Yeah. They jump over fences. They climb trees.
It's unbelievable, man.
The stuff that they can do to get to another dog in heat is pretty impressive.
The good Lord knew better than to throw that on us.
I tell you what, being a young guy in the teams, though, and seeing some of the lengths that my buddies went through.
Exactly. Can you imagine if it was like that, though? It'd be terrible.
I've seen some pretty crazy stuff. I did deploy to Southeast Asia, man. So, all right, that's the Mad Minute, Tim. We totally appreciate it, man. That you blew away every answer we've had to date, hands down.
Hey, what'd you trade for the GL? Henry, what?
I traded the 1954 Henry J for a lowered Geo Storm.
Oh, it was lowered. Okay, what? That makes sense then.
Yeah, right?
Totally worth it. Straight up.
Yeah.
For this hog.
Yeah, literally. All right. So the reason why we come on and we have unbelievable guests is to share something about them that keeps them in the fight all the time. And I know, based on your recent declaration to ISIS, which was one of my favorite things I ever saw in my life, by the way, and really made me proud to be an American. You're always ready for the fight, and you're always training to get better, and you never quit. So if you could share with our guests, our listeners, one or two or whatever, your greatest never quit story or stories, brother.
All right, I will try to abbreviate it because it's kind of long and drawn out. So I'll make it sweet. It's how I ended up enlisting. essentially.
Nice.
Those are always great stories, man.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you hear the whole thing, right? Because everybody always abbreviates. I can't wait to hear this one, bro. Crank it up.
All right. So I was in love with this girl, and her father got relocated, lost his job, and had to move. And I was like, no, this is the end of the world, you know? And then a couple of weeks later, my grandpa dies. And then a couple of weeks later, I slide my motorcycle and I crash it after some meth head runs a red light. And then I go on this business trip. I'm in grad school, and I run into the girl that I had like fallen in love with and had left and I hadn't spoken to in a while. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I finally, like this is so serendipitous that we're crossing paths. It was completely random.
I get a shot at it again is what you're thinking.
So I got another shot, right, God? So like we hit it off and things are fantastic. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to come back to California. I'm going to square things away and we're going to move forward with this plan. So I land in California and my phone just starts going berserk. It's like beep, 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 beep. And I find out that I have a couple of young ladies that I was hanging out with before I left that I knocked up. Not one, not two, three.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
That's impressive.
And,
you were busy. You were really busy, bud.
And at this time, I was already a professional fighter. I'm in grad school. I'm working at a .com e-commerce. And so I pretty much have to call this girl and tell her, hey, it's not going to work out. I got some things going on here. And she's like, well, what's going on there? And I was like, well, I got a couple of girls pregnant. And she's like, well, that's magical. Thank you. You're a horrible person. And then a couple of weeks, and as I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen, I have a girl walk into the gym that I trained at, which was slow kickboxing with Chuck Liddell, Gan McGee, Jake Shields. It was pretty much the best fighting gym in the United States at the time.
Awesome.
And this girl walks in, and she was a ring girl from a card I just fought
St.
on.
Louis Obispo? Isn't that up at St.
Yeah, St. Louis Obispo.
Oh, yeah.
So a card
Now,
girl.
were you there that night when we got a fight a bunch of seals?
Dude, man. I was talking about that. Yeah. I was up there every year, bro. God, that dude, man, that one dude, God dang, that was so crazy. Oh, my God. That's a whole different story altogether, bro. That's cool, man. I knew one day I would run into somebody who was up there. Because I ran into Chuck. Go ahead.
The bad news is, you and I maybe even scuffled because I was in that fight.
Dude. God dang, man, that was crazy. That spilt out into the street down the.
It was insane.
Man, dude, you guys going to jail and shit. It's crap, man. Go ahead, man. That's a good time.
So this girl walks into into the gym and she's like, "Hey, you fought at an event a few weeks ago, and I'm trying to track down the people that I've had sex with, and." We did, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, yeah, that was great. And she's like, well, I tested positive for HIV.
Wait a minute, is this on top of the 3 girls too? This is a whole nother girl?
Yeah, this is something else.
Dude,
I want to give you a hug right now. I want to come through the intranet, and I want to give you a big hug right now, bud.
Tim probably, he'll have a couple never quit stories, man. You know what I mean? Never, like I joined the military. That's a never quit story. Yeah, it's hard, right?
I'm sorry. Keep going.
Yeah,
this is hard.
Give me the 22-year-old version of me a hug. So, anyways, Grandpa's dead. Motorcycle's crushed. 3 girls are pregnant. Maybe I have AIDS. And then I'm sitting at my desk trying to figure out what I'm going to do, realizing that I'm a horrible person, that I'm a selfish piece of crap, and I watch planes flying into the buildings.
Wow.
And I walked down to the recruiter's office the next day, and I was like, man, I've wasted everything about my life up to this point. I want to be a Navy SEAL, Green Beret, Special Forces, Airborne Ranger Sniper. And the guy's just laughing at me, and there's like 5,000 people in line in front of me and behind me, because this is now on 9/11. And that was how I enlisted.
Oh my gosh. That is the heaviest enlistment story I've ever heard, brother. Hands down. I mean, wow. Well, I mean, one of the interesting things when
you started out, it was like, well, there was a girl. I was like, yep, that's okay. Check. There's number 1 right there. You know what I mean?
Well, the question is, once you did raise your hand or sign, or they said, all right, we're going to pull you in and you're dialed in. Did all those problems did it get easier dealing with them because you had this focus now? What was your life transitioning like at that time?
Man, that's a lot of weight to carry to go into the program.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, good question, man.
It shifted my perspective from being exclusively internal, only caring about myself, what girl I was going to hook up with, what jeans I was going to wear, how I was going to score, some more booze to bring to the party, how I was going to show up to wrestling practice on Monday not smelling like booze, how to trick my coach into, like all the stupid things that a 22-year-old prick would worry about. All of that disappeared, and everything came about. Okay, how am I going to provide for now I have a family? How am I going to help with my grandmother who's grieving? How am I going to be tested, every single month to make sure that now that I'm, I can't, if I have HIV, I can't be SF. So like everything became about how to become a better version of myself. And to this day, I'm still that way. But that was, if I was going to go back to a point, it's me walking into Morro Bay, California, taking my clothes off, getting in the water and start swimming out from the rock when a Coast Guard cutter cruises up and the captain's hanging out the side and he's like, "Hey son, you having a rough day?"
Yeah.
that was about 3 days before 9/11.
Oh wow.
And things changed from there.
Well, all right. So now you get in and you get first off, how long did it take you to get to selection?
So I was one of the rare freak anomalies. I was kind of recruited to go straight to selection. So I went from basic training to infantry school to airborne school to SF prep course, then the prep course to selection. So within a year, I was in selection. I was everything that everybody as a Green Beret hated. I was what they called the Special Forces baby.
We did. Yeah,
I was 18 Delta when that was going down.
Yeah, you were hated for sure.
My God.
So when you went through selection as this SF baby,
and we didn't even know what that. I didn't even know what that meant.
Did they drop the hammer on you just repeatedly, or what?
So we started, before we got to selection, we started with almost 500 kids, and we sent 96 to selection.
Wow.
Awesome.
So, for the equivalent of the 408 other dudes went to the needs of the Army, and 96 dudes went to selection. Everybody talks about the attrition rate during buds or, during Hell Week or during selection. Our attrition was before we even got to selection.
Wow. That's heavy. Now in the transition,
hey, brother, man, I don't know. I didn't even think about this. So a lot of them guys, man, they all joined up because of 9/11, right? So there's a heavy reason why you want to do that, why they joined up. And when you join up, like, man, you ain't good enough to. Well, man, I joined because I want to do something. I mean, it had to be heavier than normally, right?
There was focus. In the
guys who didn't make it because they weren't good enough, and they still had that drive because, hey, man, 9/11 happened. I bet that was hard to choke up.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Because now you got to go back, get in line again.
When you get kicked out. I mean, when you
get rolled, just
man.
getting rolled sucked. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So making it through, did you, as you saw people fading away and going away, and you're there, you're brand new in the Army, did your focus just improve? And no matter what they were throwing at you, did your intent? Because we always talk about in terms where the application of pain in buds is what the transformational component of the never quit mindset for us was, right?
While you implement the positive,
exactly.
Like, you gotta win. This is the way we do it, and you keep losing, but you don't think of it like that.
No, you're just getting harder and harder and harder. Were you feeling that in a way that was like, it was fun for you? Because a lot of times guys, you'll ask, oh, no, it sucked. It wasn't fun at all. But you seem like the type of guy that, like, it was awesome. The pain was the cool part of it.
Man, I loved SEER school. I loved it. I loved having my nuts break the frozen water. I love getting hit with the phone book. I love being trapped in a box. I love them pissing outside of the door. I love them screaming at me. I love that little Asian girl making fun of my dick. I love it. And
because that gets most dudes.
Oh, it's crushed.
I mean, that's heavy shit, dude.
They fold.
Like, God damn, why'd you have to go straight there? Why'd you have to go there?
I could tell you, they would have had to shoot me in the face to make me quit.
They would have had to shoot you in the face to make you quit.
Yeah, there's nothing. The pain, just like making a blade. You're heating it up and you're pounding it, and you're heating up and you're pounding it. You're watching those impurities. That is not a peaceful process. That is a violent, horrible, brutal way to get something strong. And right now, I have such resentment from this current group in the military that's like, no, man, we have to make sure that the training's safe. We have to make sure that these guys aren't under emotional or physical stress. And I was like, that's not how it works. That's not how something gets strong. Something gets strong because it recognizes that it's going to die if it doesn't improve.
Well, that's why they're so jacked up when they go to war, when they come back from it. Because they weren't prepped for it. Like, I can't put you in stress, man. You throw them over in the chaos. And I mean, what? You train these guys in the off chance we're not going to go to war. You can't think about it like that, man. You join the military thinking there's a war on, right? There's one going down. You have to, man. You can't.
Well, you know what happens? It's the officers, they get a chance, they go down range, they go to war, they get their quals, they move out of the operational mindset, they come into the training world, they take over commands, and their whole thing is, man, I got to look better in order to make that next rank and jump up so I can get to the Pentagon, put on a star, and do all that. So they get distracted from what the original mission is, for sure.
I think that happens a lot more, obviously, because they always call it the cleanse when the war first kicks off. That happens, I think, a lot in peacetime because the war fighters that come through with the training, we're the same way. Officers come through there, train with them. You have to build that up, man.
For sure.
You telling me to go out there and take that hill, I'd do it a hell of a lot easier, man, if I'd known that, if I needed you to come up there with, and that's the way it is. And then those guys during those hard chargers, man, but the problem is that they have to deal with the outside influences who aren't going into war. So the battle-hardened warfighter officers, man, they don't rub well with the politicians. They get rid of them. And it's just like, what?
But Now we're in the scariest time frame where we're training our troops as if we're in peacetime. We're like, we're pulling troops out of Iraq, no boots on the ground, and we're downsizing Afghanistan, and we're looking internal. We're at war now. We're at war in our own country. Now we're doing it in Orlando and San Bernardino and New York and New Jersey. And even worse is we're still acting as if we're a peacetime army when we're straight up in the middle of a war that we're going to start losing unless we recognize who we are and where we're headed. I mean, we're at a point of diminished returns. And
you asked
my soapbox.
No, all you got to do is talk to.
It tells you how desensitized people are because that's what it is. Everybody expects to see a uniformed army come over the beaches and do it like we do it. That's not how this one works, right? You got to look at it as something that has metastasized, like a virus, right? It grows and learns and mutates, and that's what this is. And it's moved in to the inner, or it's past us, right? So there was a door opened 100%. Up and it came right inside, and we can't engage on this land. So we are absolutely. You better figure out what to do because military, we can't do it.
Well, and the other craziest aspect too is, the pressure on the soft units is still there and increasing. But they're not preparing these individuals mentally for the pressure of that fight. I mean, you look at you look at us. I mean, we just lost a guy in the spring, fighting with the Peshmerga, Charles Keating, right, at Team One, and
they did too.
You guys lost a couple dudes over, and so the pressure's still there. The warfare's still on. It's still going down, but it's crazy. Why, Tim? Why do you think they're pulling out? The intensity of forging the individual like they did when it was our era.
Man, it's phase politics. You go back to the Bill Clinton era. He did some great things economically. But you talk to guys, the generation just before us in the soft community, guys that worked. Yeah. I mean, remember we were counting bullets? We normally 5 years ago, we had an ammo forecast of 120,000 rounds prepping for a pre-mob. Now we're getting ready to go, and I have authorization of 12,000. You know, like how do I train 12 guys with 1,000 rounds apiece for the course of an entire primo? That's insane. You know, like guys should be shooting 10, 20,000 rounds getting ready to go to combat. And now we're like, okay, you need to count your bullets. Make sure you don't shoot more. Just like make sounds every once in a while and just pretend like you're shooting.
Pew, pew,
The
pew.
craziest thing, and this is probably a military tale, but I think it was a Marine. A Marine unit was in a helicopter flying back, and one of the grunts dropped a mag out of the helo, and they went back to get it
No, they did not.
because he had to account for every piece of brass. And I mean, the guy telling me this, man, the way he was explaining, he's like, "You ain't gonna believe this, man." So every piece of brass that goes, or every bolt that goes out, the brass has to come back. This was after some kind of freak shoot, whatever it was, and sure enough, man, we was coming back from the range. Dude dropped a mag out of the helo and had to go back and get it.
Oh, that's nuts. That's nuts. All right, let's pull back to something what is positive, and that's your spirit. That's how you live your life. I mean, I know you're a huge inspiration for a lot of people. I think one of the interesting things is that you came in, you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. You changed your focus in life. You got that direction. You stopped being selfish, became selfless. How did the combat deployments change you to prepare you for that transition into going back to fighting, coming out, and doing what you're doing now?
It was still that refiner's fire. You know, it was still the chaff in the wind. You know, every time that I went, just like in the wrestling room, when you'd get better through pain, then in the Q course, and you know, finally when you get to your ODA, that's not the end of training when you graduate. That's the beginning of pain. You know, that's a team sergeant and team members and seniors that are looking at this, like you said, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed idiot, and being like, "Oh, you think you can shoot? You think you're tough? You think you're fast? You think you're strong?" And taking that piece of clay and molding it into a war fighter. So when I went to war, you know, I remember I got in a fight with my team sergeant because we had a half mission, a helicopter assault force mission, and we lost a couple of our birds. So they had to scratch some personnel off of it. Instead of 8 aircraft, we had 6. So I'm the most junior guy on the team. Super easy decision. Cut that guy, right? I was so pissed. I'm like, I'm shooting better than everybody. I'm faster than everybody. You know, like I get it. I'm only a staff sergeant. You know, but like I'm arguing with my team sergeant in Iraq about going. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So they get back from the mission
well.
and they're like, "Hey man, go down to the tent, meet us down there." I was like, "Oh yeah." And he's like, "Bring your boxing gloves." And I was like, "Okay, we're figuring this out. You know, I'm going to talk to my team sergeant. I'm going to straighten him out." And I walk in and my team, there's 12 dudes on ODA. There's 11 dudes with boxing gloves on.
Circle of death.
That's
I
awesome.
was pissing blood. I was seeing blood. I was spitting blood. Hell, I probably had blood dripping out of my pores at that point. But I tried to get all the way to my team sergeant. And by the time I got to him, I could barely stand. And, you know, he's like, "Hey, are we clear?" He's like, I'm like, "Roger, Sergeant." He's like, "We'll stand up because we're going to fight." And that, you know, that's
the way it rolls, man. No, I remember the first time, my first platoon, you know, we were doing housework up at Pendleton, and I was young, brash. Oh, I can just move fast. I don't have to listen. I'm an athlete. I'm good. I got this. Don't listen. And man, I missed a moving call. They started throwing furniture in the room. I missed my moving calls. Just blew them off because I didn't need. I just scoot around it. I did it once. You know, tweet. All right, Rutherford. What the hell? Did it twice. It's like, what the, you know, are you doing? Did it a third time. They brought my chief in. They're like, "Wally, what the, you know, what's going on with Rutherford?" He goes, "I'll take care of it. Don't worry." That night we got back from dinner, man. They taped me up, put a happy hat on,
Nope.
and for about 4 hours, man, they tuned me up. It was so bad, dude. My legs were completely black and blue from top to bottom. And they're like, the next day, I remember the biggest dude in my platoon was like, "You better not miss a call, miss a step, miss it." I was like, "Roger that, I'm good," you know, and it's that forging process.
problem.
You never do it again. And you realize where the hierarchy, why it's important and what it goes. So when did you finally,
And that there's a lot more there than what you're just looking at.
Oh, totally.
That's the biggest thing right there, man. You come in full of gun, and then
You had
it's
it.
usually, oh, dude, my Oh, yeah. He grabbed me by the nuts and neck and threw me 30 feet down off this. I thought I was a big, strong guy. We were in Uzbekistan. Finished up a J-set with the border guard up there, man. And we had this big feast, and there was this huge swimming pool with a 10-meter platform. We were out in the middle of nowhere, which they didn't even have barracks, but they had a 10-meter platform. Anyways. We were sauced up pretty good on vodka, but they drink that for every meal.
Yeah,
that out there.
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah, okay. And my chief was up on the top, and he's been around. He was a red cell guy. I mean, just one of them big, burly kind of deals. And every now and then he'd get on me about my sideburns. All team guys grow their sideburns long.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, well, chief, what's up with that cheese package? And I'd rub his belly, and he'd be like, son, you don't even want to know. And I went up on that 10-meter platform to grab a hold of him. Just thought I was nuts and neck, dude. Picked me up over his head and flung me. Flung me, dude. All that thing. And I hit the pool sideways like this. Not a belly flop, man. That whole side right there. Yeah. And then you slowly sink in the water. You don't go all, you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Dang, dude.
Oh,
he's such a great man.
But the coolest part about it is you feel like it's not a punishment. You're growing in it. How long did it take you, Tim, before you started getting in that space where you're like, all right, I'm in a space where I've done enough, I've seen enough, I can start transferring that type of forging process on the younger guys beneath me? I'm
telling you this, I'm telling myself this, that I'm never going to reach that point where I'm saying I'm that guy, that it's my turn to help younger guys. I'm still going to always trying to improve. I'm still going to try to break myself at every single training session. I'm still going to go and try to be the fastest guy at the range. I'm still going to try to be the fastest guy, even though maybe I'm not. I want those young guys to see, now a 15-year Special Forces veteran that's going to be the first guy out the door. That's going to be the first guy with a boot on the ground. He's going to be the last guy to leave the range. He's going to be the first guy that's out there picking up brass. He's going to be the last guy picking up brass. He's going to be the first guy that's packing up his food to get back on the range to start shooting and start dry shooting. So, maybe 5-6 years in, I had the knowledge to start handing off, and I try to hand that off. But I don't want to be that guy that is saying, okay, now it's my turn to share impart my wisdom to you, because I still got to get better. Right. I still got to get broken. I still got to get humbled.
Well, that's why in our community they make the guys go to training to be instructors.
For sure.
Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. Yeah. All the guys think like that. And my entire time in the teams, it's funny as you progress, and you got to remember, like when you came in and your first chief, you look at that guy like, man, they know everything. They can't do any wrong. A team sergeant, that whole deal, and you don't even realize it as you're progressing and catching the rank and then holding the positions. As soon as that new guy comes in, he's a new guy, and then there's times for that. But then when it's going, it's like, hey man, we're all equal here, right? And you forget that they're actually looking up at you through all that years that you have.
Absolutely.
And all you're doing is your thing. So that's the best part of that's what having those guys around, those team sergeants and the officers that have the rank and have the experience. When you're out there watching them rattle battle and go to work, you're like, hey.
That's cool.
That's what it's supposed to look.
Yeah.
It's a battle rhythm, man.
Yeah.
And that's ingrained so hard. And the best part is when you start doing something so obscure in SF, we don't do it anymore unless the war is dictating it. And you go to train it, and they just, like with explosives usually, they're like, oh yeah, I think I remember how to work this out. No, you know what I mean? You're like, wait a minute. No, I think I got it.
Yeah.
Pulls out his glasses.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah, it's that one right there. I'm like, be sure, man.
Oh my God, that's awesome. All right. So tell me, all right, you've got this amazing energy about you. I love it, man. That's me. I love being positive. I love the newness of life and every experience. Was it challenging, or was it intimidating, or what? Help the listeners understand what it was like going from, just making the decision, the conscious decision. All right, I really want to get back to fighting, competing, and then the incredible success that you've had, and in fact, coming up to a major, the UFC 205, which is one of the biggest cards ever. I mean, what's that like for you?
I think I just want to represent our community. I think I want to demonstrate. I really believe that you take some SEALs, some Rangers, some SF guys, and they could perform at the same level as me in any of these fights. And I think people forget that we are the current day Spartans. There's no
Amen.
badder group of men on the planet than the U.S. military special operations community.
Cool.
You take 20 dudes from each of those, from the kind of 4 peak units within the United States, you drop those 100 dudes into a country, and they own that country. 80 to 100 dudes.
Absolutely.
Any country on the planet. I mean, so I don't want people to know that I'm the best in the world. I don't care. I want to know myself that I'm the best in the world, and that there's nobody that's a better fighter than me. And then, when that comes to fruition and I take that belt and I toss it back in the cage, because it won't matter to me, I'll go back to doing the real work that matters, which is serving my country.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, once you say you're the best, man, there's only one way to go, and that's back down.
Well,
and that thing about I'm thinking exactly like you do, man. I don't care what you call us, through history, man, all us guys are the same, and we migrate towards each other. Spartans, whatever, gladiators, you call it whatever you want to, man. During the time of the Americas, we were called Special Forces and SEALs and Green Berets. So in the future, when people read of the Americas, they always read about a country's military. And if you think about it like that, and what you're doing now, our people and everybody around us read about it. And then as it progresses, you always carry yourself like a warrior, in and out of it.
Yeah,
right? You don't want to be known as a warrior during the war. Then when you get out, you're a
podcaster.
No, yeah. You got me on that one. I seen a pause, right? I opened the door.
You opened the door for me to lay you up on that. I'm sorry, brother. All right, one of the things I want to talk about, and to
I had a point.
It was coming to expand on the point about our desire, no matter what environment we operate in, and I think this will translate, in an interesting way for people who run a course in one particular area, it doesn't fit, and then they come out and then they'll do another. And what we see a lot of times is because of the hard work required to become successful in any one area, we're seeing a lot of younger people will start something and stop, start something and stop, start something and stop. What kind of advice can you give to them, to say, hey, suck it up, Buttercup, and finish this out? What tools do you use and how you approach that in your life? Whether it's fighting or being a Green Beret or being an actor in a zombie apocalypse film,
Man, every good thing that's happened to me in my life has come after something horrible. That's come after something hard. Just go to Ranger School to graduate as honor grad. I remember sitting there on the line on an ambush. It's during the winter, it's December, and I'm freezing. My frozen dick is hitting the frozen ground. And I remember this guy standing up, and he's like, I quit. I'm done. I voluntarily withdraw. And he walks down to the street. And I'm like, that's a smart dude right there. That's a smart guy. And I go to stand up because I'm going to try to quit. And he's like, get your ass back down on the ambush line. I'm like, dang it, I missed my chance. And then I honor graduate, and I get to go back and go to another selection and go to another unit, and things just got better. And every time, the best things in life come after the hard point. The good things, those don't come easy. There's nothing that you're going to value. There's nothing that you're going to appreciate. There's nothing that's going to be worth anything to you unless you had to earn it, unless you had to work for it.
Amen. Amen. And that's, that message is becoming, I think, tougher and tougher to share with the younger generation out there, is saying, hey, there's this forging process that makes great men, that makes great Spartans, great soldiers, just great men in general. Guess what? That's got to be a part of your life. And it just, even with women, we can't strip away the forging. We can't dilute the forging process at all. You got to apply the pressure, the pain, the heat. So, how do people who aren't, necessarily prepared for that, what can they do then to go find a program, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally? What can they do to kickstart that understanding of how important the hard and the pain is?
Yeah, I think it first has to be a choice that you want to challenge yourself, and then from that choice, every person is going to have a different need, a different requirement. Like what I do where I'm working out 3 times a day, I'm on the shooting range 4 to 5 days a week. I'm grappling, I'm boxing, I'm kickboxing, and then I'm going to long gun, then I'm going to carbine, and I'm going to pistol. That is obviously very specific to what I do. Does an accountant who has some kids at home, a wife that he's maybe not even connecting with anymore, does he need to do those things? Absolutely.
Awesome.
He doesn't need to be on the shooting range. No, he doesn't need to be in the gym, but he has to do something that's going to challenge who he is as a human and as a man that will then eventually metamorphose itself into something great. Otherwise, it'll be stagnant and stale the rest of his life. If you're not being challenged, if you're not being worked, if you're not being broken, that's how the human body works. The way a muscle gets strong is it gets damaged, and the muscle goes, damn, that hurts. I have to get stronger so I don't feel this pain again. Your soul and your brain works the same way. Your brain, your heart, your muscles, it's all connected. And you have to push it to breaking before it can come back stronger and be better. That's just how it is.
There you have it, bud. I mean, there you have it right there. Oh my God. That sums it up.
Have you ever read Source Code, the book Source Code?
I can't read.
Okay, good. I think it's audio though. I think that. Yeah, I got those too. That's why I have it in audio. I was getting to that part. They talks about that the muscle that and athletes do this overseas. They train with a smaller field and a smaller ball. In the baseball, the Brazilians do it. You know what I mean? And it's literally, you don't have. If you're an accountant, you don't have to do what we're doing, man. This is obviously part of our skill set, but look at everything that goes into just going to the range to train that skill set, all the muscle memory and everything like that. And that's what it talks about. You can literally. And it's so funny, man, because we use all these terms in the military to get out of complacency in life to make ourselves more effective. And then when you get out, instead of applying those into the civilian world, a lot of people throw them away, and you shouldn't do that, man, because it's ingrained. Because you had to go through it in the military the hard way.
The imprint.
You get rid of any of that, you get rid of the imprint, and it all comes down to exactly what he said. So
well, that's awesome. Well, Tim, what does your future look like? I mean, do you keep pressing as hard as you can in all these different facets? Is there a pivot in your life where you're going to go on and become some crazy doctor or some other thing? Or do you even think about life in that context? Are you just really just pushing as hard as you can in the moment and the place you're at? What does Tim's future look like, and how do you approach it?
I'm not to berate the metaphors, the military, but I'm definitely like a 5 meter, 10 meter, 25 meter target guy. First I got UFC 205, November 12th. I got to beat Rashad Evans, to put myself in a position to fight for the UFC title. And then outside of that, people ask me, everything that you touch turns to gold. You're an entrepreneur. Range Rup's doing great. Range 15 did fantastic. I have a shoe company, Woobies. They're doing fantastic. I have a defensive tactics company, Sheepdog Response. That's doing fantastic. And they're no, it's not that I'm touching it. It's because I'm working hard.
Yeah.
And just like we've been saying this whole entire time, it's because I'm relentless and tirelessly committing myself to everything that I'm doing. And I realize that the good stuff happens after the hard work. So you say, what am I going to do? What's going to happen? Is there going to be a pivot point? Dude, I'm going to keep working from before the sun comes up and long, long after the sun goes down. And when everybody else is already in bed, I'm still there working. And that's not going to change until the day I die or my wife leaves me.
That's awesome. Well, that's it,
There's
brother.
not a 24-hour day.
No,
And we were talking about that too, man. Everybody bases about a 24-hour day, man. If I'm not done,
I ain't done.
Yeah.
I love
Keep
that.
going.
Well, Tim, man, that pretty much sums it up, and we can't thank you enough for coming on, and hopefully, we'll share some more doozies in the After Actions report, and but thank you, man. We really appreciate your time. And I know for all our listeners, they're going to be inspired, and just thanks a ton, brother. Appreciate it.
Dude, thanks for having me on. Love you both. Keep doing everything you're doing. You're an inspiration.
Thanks. Love you too, brother. Marcus, you have to push yourself till you break.
the guys all the time, right?
All time. You push yourself till you break. You heal, you come back stronger.
You know what? He's one of those instructors you didn't want to have, right?
Never. Because remember the dudes who would just get like super excited about your pain. They got super excited.
And they've already been down the rabbit hole, so they know how much pain they can take. Right?
Oh, there's no limit to where that pain threshold is for them.
Dude, you know who Instructor Reno? I don't want to say his first name.
No, I didn't have Reno.
Oh man, had rocket ships for boots. God dang, man. Those kind of guys, they're smiling and cussing you.
Oh.
I mean, just real, man. He'd sit there and do these two-handed push-ups, and he'd go to one arm while we're still doing two. And then we're
struggling,
dying out, right?
Dying.
Calling us. It was awesome.
Well, when you, and I highly recommend, you're listening to this show, go follow Tim Kennedy on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all those places, because what you hear here is real. It transcends into every aspect of his life. The guy is fired up to be alive, to be pushing himself to the best possible quality person he can be every single day. That's a rarity.
A lot of
man.
people look at the military and then he's in the fight game. It's a physical thing, right?
Right.
I mean, he's just a physical brute. He's just an exceptional being physical and fighting and combat, everything like that, man. But the mental game that goes into achieving both of those has to be above the physical level. So
it leaves the
when you see somebody who's doing stuff like that,
oh, it's a whole nother game, dude.
right away, yep.
I mean, one of the funniest things is, I didn't want to bring it up because has been beaten a little bit, but when ISIS has active threats out there against people, right? They have a list, and that list came out, and Tim Kennedy was on that list, along with Nick from Ranger Up as well, too. And instead of going, oh man, we gotta evaluate, Tim came out and was like, yeah, here I am. I'm training to kill you right now. Come find me.
Watch my video.
Watch my video because I want you. Come on over. Where I'll be here.
UFC 205. Get the pay-per-view, and you can watch me there too.
Yeah, you can watch how prepared I am.
Selling fights to ISIS, so you can have a look at just exactly what it is you're gonna be going up against.
Yeah, exactly, and so that's the whole mentality, man. Is that you can't? He just wants more, and then not more in a.
What does that mean, anyways? If you put the warfighters, the SF guys on that list,
they're already there.
Is that supposed to do something to it?
No, they're already there.
You're such a badass. The enemy knows you by name.
Well, it's like Chris was, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, the ultimate
Not
right
only
there.
Did they know him by name, he knew him by his nicknames.
Everything, right?
From the name that the bad guys put on him. Cool, right?
That's real cool. That's super cool. Anyways, my point about Tim Kennedy, man, and when you think about this guy and you listen to his story, and I hope you heard more than that, the fact the guy was just high on life and, he was just, full tilt all the way. The focus the man has every day, in my mind, is remarkable because you cannot be focused doing what he's doing, right?
Oh, no way.
I mean,
he's at that level at the fight game, man, where it's not how good you are. It's when you make the mistake and then the other guy capitalizes on it, man. And that kind of attention to detail, pushing through SF and military and the wars and then getting out and being successful in that. Oh.
One of the interesting things that I thought, too, when he talked about, I'm doing this because I want to challenge myself to see if I can become the best in my class, right? And it's not about the belt. It's not about the fame. It's
best
not about
himself.
Yeah, it's about bettering himself, becoming the best of him, of the self he imagines he can be. Kind of like we talked about with other people that come on the show as well, too. That drive.
Oh yeah, because being the best doesn't last a long time.
No, it's fleeting, right? It wanes
at all. Ask any champion who's had the belt. That's just not how that works. You start telling yourself that, like I said, there's only one way to go, and that's down, not best.
Exactly.
Because if you're training like you want to be the best, it's never ending, man. That's the power that comes in that. Once you've told yourself that you've reached that, then
he talked
don't
about
do that.
Right.
Man.
He talked about that as in SF too, right?
Yeah.
That he's the perpetual new guy. Not in terms of his skill sets, obviously. The guy's
but you're always a new guy to somebody.
Right? To somebody. There's always for when I came in, it was the Vietnam guys, and
they're around. You know what I mean? They let you know it.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I had this funny story. So I once had the opportunity to meet a swimmer scout, a UDT swimmer scout from World War II, and Patches Watson was the guy who introduced me. So here I was standing in front of Patches Watson, arguably one of the greatest point men to ever walk the land in Vietnam, 5 combat tours in Vietnam, full years, right? And then but he showed humility a swimmer scout who was a swimmer scout on Iwo Jima, Saipan, and 4 other campaigns, man. He was a swimmer scout in all of those, dude. And he was like, "Hey, Chief, how's it going?" And Chief Watson was like, "Yes, sir. Good to, thanks for," and I was like, "Yes, sir. No, yes, sir. Yes." And I'm just like, this is what it's about, is the continuation of that drive, right? To be a part of something bigger than yourself.
Well, this doesn't happen very often in our community, especially. As a matter of fact, it's only happened one time. That's why I can think about it. We're Vietnam guys like, man, you guys fighting this war, y'all are good to go, man. Y'all are tougher and this. No frogman's gonna say it. Because I mean the Vietnam guys, when we talk about them in our heads, I mean that's the jungle. I mean them guys are nasty. You know what
nothing.
I mean?
They had nothing, dude.
I mean, it doesn't matter how.
Dude, I had night vision, laser on my gun, helicopters coming in. Those dudes had Chuck Taylors, jeans, and some newfangled weapon called the stoner that they like
green face paint. Keep a K-bar in their mouth, keep their teeth straight. You know what I mean? I live for that, right? So in my mind, that's what I'm always looking at. When someone's like, "Oh, I was a Vietnam frog," I'm like, "Oh yeah."
You're like, "Arr."
We were at one of the reunions. Morgan and I were down there. I don't even know. We were both together, and we didn't have any money, and we were broke. And it was like, "All right, get your picture taken with twin Navy SEALs. 2 beers." Remember that? You know that? Of course, you're a team guy. I think nobody wants to do cares.
Oh my God!
Well, I mean, Jesse was there, so we had to come up with our own original gag.
Right.
But anyways, I was walking to fetch a couple of beers, and I ran into this guy, and he's missing his leg, just like you expect. His eyes got just crusty. UDT. Bud's Class 1 on his name tag, and I had 228 on mine. He was tall enough to see my name tag after I'd bumped into him. That's how short he goes, "You new meat piece of..." He's like, "You gonna stand there and look at me?" I spilled some of his beer.
Right.
Oh man! And once he figured out I was a new guy, it was on. I loved it. I was like, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. No, sir.
Man.
Drop down. Yes, sir."
How many you want?
No, and that's the way it is. And you know what's funny is, and it's a little nerve wracking. I don't know. I think Tim is right for us to be cognizant that that younger generation might be losing some of that. But I will tell you this.
Man, I hope not, because when we talk about that, when you say it makes me think that our generation's not doing our job.
Exactly. But I will tell you, the dudes that I know that became instructors, that were there, I know where you're going with that. Sure. That they're doing their job.
They don't want it.
And you know how I know they're doing that job? Because a young man that I've been mentoring for 13 years, who just deployed on his first deployment, right? He finished in my century class, graduated, and I told you about him.
Right.
His level of respect for you guys, for your group, Maya, is off the charts.
Because it still exists in our community.
Yep.
I mean, I said that like I feel that way, but our guys, I know that it's still that way, because who I learned from, they're still around.
Oh,
If my generation, the X-Men, they're doing that too. And I go out to Buds and talk to those guys all the time, and it's just the kids don't want to. I can't say they don't want to learn it, man. It's just the way it's different.
It's how they learn it.
Yeah,
it's how they learn it.
Which is, man, that's too bad, because you want it that way. That's what's so cool about coming into the program, man. You want it.
You want it the hardest,
crusty something that you ever heard about, and go hang out next to him to see what he's going to do.
Just let some of that salt flake off on your shoulder, right? And it makes you stand a little taller. It makes you want the pain a little more on Fridays.
I mean, when those dudes, man, when everything's falling apart, no matter what it is, and they're looking at you like, "Why'd you do it that way?" And those, because I'm a hairy-chested frog, man.
I am a freedom fighting.
That is it right there.
That's
right?
it.
If you have an answer for what you did wrong, you're like, "Well, I'm a hairy-chested frog, man." Roger that.
Roger that. Carry on.
Carry on smartly. Get on about it.
Work harder, not smarter, right?
Don't get caught.
I love it. Well, listen, I hope if you've paid attention to this show and that you heard what Tim Kennedy was saying to you, that it's not about going out and finding the easy route. It's not about going out and testing yourself a little bit. It's about going out and forging yourself day in and day out by pounding yourself into a pulp, by feeling the pain, but at every second of every day when you're in the midst of the combat of life, that you got a smile on your face, that you surround yourself with people that are going to keep your iron sharp, and that you look to the future and set those goals to be the best that you can be in what you want to achieve in life. And that's it, man. That is the secret of the never quit mindset. So thank you for paying attention. Please visit our website at tnqpodcast.com for more shows and understand why we're doing it, what our mission is. Check out teamneverquit.com for merchandise for the Team Never Quit speakers. And just, spread the word for us. Go to iTunes, subscribe to our podcast, but get out there and share these experiences with other people. And if you've got a great never quit story yourself, don't be afraid to send it in. Share it with us via the website. So, Marcus, who do you want to thank as we sign off, buddy?
That was good.
Thanks, brother.
Like I didn't even want to interrupt. Usually, if I start going on something else, man, I was like, you got me locked in.
And that's how you debate.
Yeah. Thank you. Love you, Will.
Love you, Will.
Yeah. Thank the good Lord for giving me all my gifts and my friends for helping me find them, and to the boss lady for marrying me. What a great lady. She just got back from, man, I can't wait to get this. She's been gone all day.
Yeah, she has. Been gone 2 days.
So, thanks everybody out there for listening and letting us do this.
Yeah, I want to thank God too. I want to thank Wizard. I want to thank you, Marcus. Without you two, I couldn't be doing what I love doing in my life, and that's bringing positivity to people's lives. I want to thank all the frogmen that taught me the power to forge and process. I want to thank
the brotherhood.
The brotherhood. I want to thank Tim's brotherhood. I want to thank all the special operations guys out there that are downrange or in training right now, because it's our legacy to you, your legacy to the next generation, that keeps our country strong, that makes all this never quit mindset possible. And I just want to thank all that. So with that, I'm out, Marcus.
We're up.
Never quit. Team Never Quit Radio.